Wittgenstein High Integrity Systems presents Coffee Break Training. In this coffee break training video, I'd like to introduce SAFERTOS+Trace, a new extension to the SAFERTOS ecosystem. More information and additional training sessions can be found on our website. Follow us on Twitter at Wittgenstein_his for updates on new training sessions. SAFERTOS+Trace consists of a user-friendly GUI coupled with a trace library to allow the user to quickly profile and optimize code and view task scheduling and interrupt interaction. It allows for custom event logging and can help debug an application running on SAFERTOS. SAFERTOS+Trace is a purely software solution with no dependency on trace hardware, making it suitable for all systems and architectures. SAFERTOS+Trace captures events into a small RAM buffer at runtime. The buffer can be downloaded post-run for examination in the GUI, or directly downloaded using a J-Link debug adapter. As well as built-in tracing for kernel events such as context switches, you can define custom events, or even add printf-like expressions to the trace. This video will give a very quick introduction to the tool. In further sessions, we'll go into more details of specific features and the different ways it can help you. Let's take a quick look at the main GUI showing a trace from the demo application supplied with a typical SAFERTOS distribution. The main GUI panel is dominated by the task viewer. Each colour represents a different task running in the system, and time runs vertically down the screen. Solid blocks of colour represent a task actively running and consuming CPU cycles, while the narrower checkered blocks show that the task is ready to run, but the scheduler has not permitted it to run as a higher priority task is present. Let's now zoom in a bit and take a closer look at this area. By zooming in, we can see how the available detail changes in a way that keeps the information clearly presented without the screen becoming cluttered. With a closer zoom, it now makes sense to show additional events such as the task scheduling, the queue send and receive events. The tool also provides information such as how long a queue has had to wait for information, or even if the queue receive function is timed out before a data item arrives. At this level of zoom, each alternating grey-white bar represents 100 microseconds. The fundamental time base of the RTOS scheduler is usually 1 millisecond, and is true in this demo application too. So what we see here in this view is a very large number of context switches even within the fundamental tick of the OS. These are caused in this example every time an interrupt service routine fires, as shown on screen here, with a further context switch happening at the end of each interrupt service routine block. In later sessions we'll look at some more detailed examples of how all this information helps us understand a real application. For now, let's have a look at some of the other views that the SAFERTOS+Trace GUI can provide. This screenshot shows two combined views. The top half is a simple CPU load graph, a simpler overview of which tasks are consuming different amounts of CPU time compared to the main GUI we saw earlier. Each task can be turned on or off to help make the view clearer. In the system shown here, some low priority tasks are designed to run whenever the CPU is idle. This can give a misleading impression of how busy the system actually is. Task utilization can be turned on or off on a per task basis to aid understanding. The second chart in the lower half of the screen shows the total number of calls to kernel functions by all tasks within each time period. In this particular application, it's clear to see the majority of kernel calls are to queue send and receive functions, and these are shown by the pink and green bars. Other views include call graphs showing interactions between queues, graphs of wait times per task, and many more views, some of which will be explored in later videos. So there we have it, a very brief introduction to the latest addition to the SAFERTOS ecosystem. Thanks for watching, and remember us to follow us on Twitter for updates, or visit our website next week when the next training session will be made available. In our next coffee break training video, we'll look at task scheduling and how SAFERTOS+Trace can help us understand our system better.